Thatcher Demko was sensational. The rest of the Canucks, not so much, as they fall 3-1 in Edmonton. We're breaking it down. This is Rink Wide Vancouver. And we welcome you inside the Pacific Toyota Dealers studio here in downtown Vancouver. Visit shoptoyota.ca or your local Pacific Toyota dealer today. I'm Jeff. He's Irv. The Vancouver Canucks, well, they leaned a little too heavily on their goaltender. Thatcher Demko was all world. That looked like Vezina finalist Thatcher Demko, but the goalie alone couldn't do it. He kept the Canucks in it late into the hockey game, but it was a tough go offensively for the Vancouver Canucks. They scored at will in the third period the other night. Their season opener against the Calgary Flames, they couldn't buy one after Brock Boeser scored in the opening minute of the third period. A one-sided affair that wasn't nearly as close as the final score indicates. 3-1, the Oilers defeat the Canucks. Vancouver's first loss of the regular season. Edmonton's first win. The Canucks now 1-1, and Irv, they got some work to do.
Yeah, they got a lot of work to do. It's all fun and games when you beat an opponent that you're supposed to beat, and these are the defending two-time Stanley Cup runner-up, but a team that has gone and been at the pinnacle of their game, and the Canucks got worked if it wasn't for Thatcher Demko. Flat out, they got worked in this hockey game. I
see lots of people in my mentions saying, man, if the Oilers had that kind of goaltending, they would have had a couple of parades in the Alberta capital the last couple of seasons, and probably not wrong. That is the difference that Thatcher Demko can make when he's on and dialed, and he has been through training camp in the preseason. And look, the people in Edmonton, they know about sketchy goaltending to the point that Stuart Skinner didn't even get a chance to bounce back from an opening night loss to the Flames. They turned to their backup, Calvin Pickard. He ends up getting the victory. 37-15 are the shots on goal in this one. So, yeah, opening night was fun. The vibes were high. I'm not sure that the vibes are so high right now. You're not going to win them all. I get that. Nope. It's only 2 games in, but I think your point is the one that sort of has to be underscored here, that, look, the Calgary Flames are not a Stanley Cup contender. The Edmonton Oilers are, and the Vancouver Canucks, quite frankly, did not measure up. They got out of the first period scoreless on the road. You're fine with that. It was still scoreless midway through this hockey game. And then Connor Garland turns the puck over deep in the Edmonton zone, but the Canucks were caught. Oilers go back the other way. Noah Philp gets his first NHL goal to open the scoring. And at 1-0, you're fine. You're a shot away. There's plenty of time. No worries. And then Philip Hedl in the final minute of the second period. What in the world was Philip Hedl doing? He was the hero the other night. He was the first star the other night. Everybody loved Philip Hedl. Yeah. Philip Hedl had a rough go in this one. The dreadful turnover to Mangiapane for what turns out to be the game winner in the final minute of the second period. And man, that changes the complexion. You get out of the period 1-0 again. I think you're feeling okay about things, even though you're getting outplayed and outshot badly. It's still a 1-0 hockey game, but at 2-0, you wondered if that was going to be an insurmountable lead. Ultimately, it was on this night for the Vancouver Canucks, and you just can't. Like, I know Marcus Pettersson was wide open on the other side, but the simple play, well, glassing out late in the period, just clear the zone and live for another day. And unfortunately, Mangiapane picks off the pass, the attempted pass by Hedl. And I don't know if Thatcher Demko wasn't ready, probably not expecting to be tested like that in that situation. Whatever the case, Mangiapane, his second of the season, so he's off to a nice start in his new surroundings there in northern Alberta. And yeah, that was a tough one. I mean, we don't do a play of the game necessarily on this program, but if you're looking for a turning point from 1-0 to 2-0 in a hurry in the final minute of the second period.
Yeah, it's tough. You can't, it's a backbreaker, right? In hockey games, especially, you give up late period goals, and the way that was, like you mentioned, you should have been off the glass and out, and that's something that his defensive coach, Stanley Cup winning coach, is going to go over film with him, I'm sure. I mean, Philip Hedl knows. The camera pointed to him after it went in. Like, he knows exactly what happened, but you're right about him. You know, he was the hero the other night. He played so well, but it just wasn't a banner night for him at all in this game.
No, and so, Canucks reeling going into the intermission. Now, to their credit, came out with some purpose to start the third, and Brock Boeser scored in back-to-back games. Early season Brock Boeser is a bit of a trip. Remember, 4 goals the other year against Edmonton. Last year he had 2 on opening night. He scored on opening night here this season, and If he's going to get to 30 plus, then may as well get ahead of the curve. And so from that standpoint, at least, a good start to the season for Brock Boeser. A goal a game here through 2 games. And of course, the bigger story on that goal was Quinn Hughes getting the puck to Boeser in front. He wheels around, he beats Pickard, gets the Canucks on the board, gives them some life 47 seconds in. And the assist by Hughes, making him the highest scoring defenseman in Vancouver Canucks franchise history. You should probably give him a standing ovation here. We'll say it, but it's the thought that counts. The guy's been doing it since he broke into the National Hockey League. He's the captain. He's the best player. All of that. We all know that, anybody that follows the Vancouver Canucks. But on nights like this one, when history is made, you got to take a second and mark it. And we certainly want to do that here. So congratulations to Quinn Hughes becoming the highest scoring defenseman in franchise history and doing it basically in 500 fewer games than it took Alex Edler.
Yeah, hats off to Quinn. I mean, he's been as advertised as soon as he stepped foot on the ice professionally for the Vancouver Canucks. A large part of their offense, the captain of this hockey team, the most important player on this roster other than, a guy that plays between the pipes and Thatcher Demko. So hats off to him. It is an absolutely insane feat in the amount of fewer games that he did it than Alex Edler. But you can bet that he's not celebrating this one because of the result that his team had tonight.
No, he takes the losses. He wears them heavily and understandably so. Again, you're not going to win every game. I get that. But we always hear about the process. The process, just, quite frankly, wasn't very good in this hockey game for the Vancouver Canucks. Rink Wide brought to you in part by Bet365. Whatever your bet, it's never ordinary at Bet365. We'll get to our line of the night a little bit later on here. We always remind you, want to start the show off with a mention of the BC Mental Health Foundation. They're our Super Chat charity partner again this season. They're changing the face of mental health and addiction by supporting breakthroughs in care, public understanding, research, and knowledge exchange. And if you want to get a comment or a question right through to the top of the queue and have us read it here on Rink Wide Vancouver, then hit us up with a super chat. We say it every program, and we mean it. And it's all for a great cause. And MF27 coming through with a super chat right off the hop. So thank you, MF27, if that is in fact your real name. Should they swap Kane and DeBrusque, change is needed. 2 games in, change is needed. Nobody was screaming for change after scoring 5 the other night. Look, there's plenty to go around, and we haven't even touched on the night of Elias Pettersson, the forward, and we will. Trust me, we will. But the chat is certainly already there. The chat's wasting no time going straight to EP40. And, head-to-head with Connor McDavid, it was not a particularly good night for the Canucks' highest-paid player. But to the Super Chat question, it was quiet all around. Offensively, Jake DeBrusque gets the second assist on the Boeser goal. Klang going off the post to sort of get that sequence going. He also had the chance in the second period where he pulled the puck off the end boards and cut hard to the net and tried to tuck it up under the bar. Close call. And on a night like this one, it qualified as one of their better scoring chances because there weren't many scoring chances. Again, 37-15 were the shots, 4, 5, and 6. So they quietly, progressively got a little bit better as the night went along, but got outshot 14-4 in the first, 14-5 in the second, and then 9-6 in that third period where they each scored 1. Canucks made it a 2-1 hockey game. It stayed that way through most of the third. Got the late power play, pulled Thatcher Demko, tried to go 6-on-4, and generated a couple of looks.
Yeah.
A Philip Hronek bomb from the left point after EP40 did win one of his few faceoffs on the night, and then Brock in front when he wheeled around, and I think an Oiler got a stick in on it, and I don't know if Pickard was forced to make a save there, but a close call. And again, a guy that you want with the puck on his stick in that situation, but didn't go for Brock Boeser there, and then Draisaitl was able to flip it into the empty net, officially a shorthanded empty netter with 1 minute and 13 seconds left, and that was it for the scoring. 3-1, the final score, the Edmonton Oilers defeating the Vancouver Canucks. We should mention that the Canucks won't be back in Edmonton until game 82 of the regular season. So their first road game, and then the final game, game 82, and we'll see if game 82 means something to both of these teams, but the Oilers will be here twice, including once later this month.
Yeah, absolutely. You mentioned the stat, obviously, and I think the biggest thing for me was the 9 shots after 2 periods for the Vancouver Canucks. It's the offense, right? And your goaltender's playing so well. I think there's a point that I looked at you and I said that after the save that he made from Leon Draisaitl, off of Leon Draisaitl that Thatcher Demko made, larceny with the glove, let's see what the Canucks do in the next 4 and 5 minutes here. Let's see if they can generate some offense. Your guy, between the pipes, he's got your back. You know he's got your back. So let's try and hop on that. Let's create some good momentum here. Let's generate some shots. And again, it was a struggle for them to do that. You got to give Edmonton some credit. And like you mentioned, Jeff, they're not going to win every single hockey game. We understand that. But 9 shots after 2 periods, that's not good enough if you're the Vancouver Canucks. And I bet you that they will probably all say that as well. Third period, a little bit better. But then again, too much or too little too late for that team. And friend of the show, obviously, Farhan Lalji pointing out, far too many nights that Thatcher Demko is used to something like this. When you get an outrageous performance from your goaltender, like we have seen, whether it's people covering the team, watching the team from afar, fans that are in their chat, everywhere else, we've seen this story before. Thatcher Demko is a lights out 36, 30, 40-something saves, and the offense has 13 shots to end the game. Now, I know they had more in this one, but you've just seen it way too much.
Yeah, and again, you want to believe that those saves are going to energize the team, that the team is going to look and say, like, we got to face this guy in the locker room after the game and be able to look him in the eye and say, hey, we tried, we did our part. I mean, Thatcher Demko will get to the 3 stars here in a sec. I mean, he could be all 3 on a night like tonight. He isn't. There were some others that we'll mention. But, look, this is a good news story in as much as Thatcher Demko looks dialed already. And we said that through the preseason, said it after the game the other night. You hope that becomes a theme, but there's also this question of workload and not, he started the first 2 games. That's not how you measure workload when it comes to an NHL goaltender. It's like, did the other team force this guy to make 1 billion saves, and was he under siege all night long? And, was he able to come up for air? Like, he'll get Monday off. As good as he was, they're going to Lankin, and they got to get him a start. Yeah. But, like, that's more the concern is you can't do that to your star goaltender. You got to get the puck and take it to the other end and spend some time in the offensive zone with possession, because Thatcher Demko will get worn down if he's forced to do what he had to do there in the save off Draisaitl, like already save of the year candidate. Yeah. Leon has scored a kabillion goals from that spot on the ice.
It's his office.
On the power play, had the whole net, and there's Demko down and across to his left, and the glove comes out, and I don't know, I thought it was in for sure. I think Draisaitl, there were some of the Oilers teammates, sticks in the air, like they were celebrating. That was a goal. No, it wasn't a goal. But Demko gave notice early in this hockey game, and like the focus and the talk will be the Draisaitl save, but he stoned Matt Savoy about 3 minutes in. And then McDavid set up Trent Frederick for a chance. Bang play. And again, we saw this the other night. The volume of saves wasn't required against Calgary, but the saves that he made, even against the Flames the other night, the economy of motion, just looking big, looking solid, making it look easy. And it's only the second game of the season, and so there was a bunch of that as this night went along. And so, didn't like the process, don't like the final result ultimately, but if there is one thing to like in this hockey game, it was the performance of the guy with all the pads in the back there, Thatcher Demko. Why don't we use that as our transition into the 3 stars of this hockey game? And the 3 stars are brought to you by your Pacific Toyota dealers and the Toyota Prius plug-in hybrid. It's no compromise approach to electric vehicles that offers the best of both worlds. No sacrifices when it comes to horsepower or style. It's sleek. It's got the low and wide exterior and sophisticated interior loaded with tech that's actually easy to use. Plug in or to recharge at home or at one of over 2,000 public charging stations in BC alone. Now, here's what you need to know. You can lease a 2025 Prius plug-in hybrid SE from $99 weekly at 3.49% APR for 64 months with $3,600 down, and it includes a $3,000 discount. For more, visit shoptoyota.ca or your local Pacific Toyota dealer today. All right, 3 stars in the building. Noah Philp, who scores his first NHL goal that opened the scoring. Thatcher Demko was star number 2. Come on. And Andrew Mangiapane gets 3rd star honors. The stars here. Come on. Even in a losing cause, he was the best player on the ice, hands down.
It wasn't even close.
Thatcher Demko with 34 saves on actually officially into the books because the empty netter doesn't go on the record for him. So it's 34 saves on 36 shots. and then the Oilers score into the empty net. We've got Connor McDavid. Now, if you look at the score sheet, you're saying, come on, McDavid, didn't score in this hockey game, only has a second assist on an empty netter. Dig a little deeper here. This might have been one of the most dominant Connor McDavid performances where he only had a second assist on an empty net goal. Most times when Connor McDavid is dealing like he was in this game, he's all over the score sheet. But this is how McDavid's night went. Played a ton. 24 minutes and 29 seconds. 3 shots on goal on 11 attempts. That just tells you. You think of him as a great puck distributor. But to have 11 shot attempts, you got to have the puck on your stick in shooting positions, and he did all night long. And, he won 12 of 15 faceoffs, so he goes 80% on the draw. The Oilers schooled the Canucks in the faceoff circle. There was a reason for that. We'll get to it a little bit later on. But 97 was going. Gave the Oilers the value pack for the contract extension that kicks in a year from now. He was terrific. And when he's doing what he's doing like that, hard to handle. So, credit to the Canucks, I suppose. On one hand, they kept him in check from dominating on the stat sheet, but he very much was a factor in this hockey game.
Yeah. He was all over the place. He was wreaking havoc in all sorts of different areas, getting up in the grill and the kitchen of Tyler Myers a little bit after Tyler Myers stick checked him to make sure that, Connor knew who that Tyler Myers was. It was a funny play there. The one thing that Connor McDavid does, if he doesn't end up on the score sheet with the goal or primary assist or anything like that, is he's affecting the game in so many other ways. Obviously the best player in the world for a reason. We don't have to wax on about Connor McDavid. We know exactly how good he is. But Andrew Mangiapane, our third star here.
Yeah, and he gets the game winner again. A bit of a freebie after the turnover, but his 500th NHL game, so marks it with a victory and a goal. So why not tip of the cap to Andrew Mangiapane, who obviously broke into the NHL as a Calgary Flame, and now he's playing up the highway there in Alberta as a member of the Edmonton Oilers. 3 stars brought to you by your Pacific Toyota dealers. All right.
There's a lot of super chats that we have, and they all say the same thing.
You're right.
In all reality.
And so Trashy Rite Aid and Demko's Knee and Smasher 66, we get it. You're not happy. You're not happy with the play of EP40, nor should you be. People gave him some slack through the preseason, put on the 6 kilos, and had the one-timer in Calgary. But we said when the curtain went up and the lights got bright on opening night, needed to see more. And he got a late assist on the Besser goal the other night. So, at least he was on the score sheet. It was tough. It was tough to watch him tonight. He wasn't alone, but he's the guy that gets the heat here. He's the lightning rod. He's the moneymaker. And the expectations are higher for this guy. And his night where we just waxed on about Connor McDavid, Elias Pettersson only played 15 minutes and 45 seconds in this hockey game. 1 shot on goal, his lone attempt of the night. And boy, did he get worked in the faceoff circle.
Yep.
Won 3 of 18. 3 of 18 as a number 1 center. That's not getting it done. So, Super Chatters, we thank you for all of your comments. Interesting, Smasher 66 says even Hughes at one point didn't pass him the puck. I don't think we're at that point where guys are refusing to get him the puck, but he's got to demand the puck. He's got to make himself a passing option. He's got to get open. And then when he gets the puck, he's got to do things with it. But, his problem, but the team's problem tonight, they just couldn't get the puck. And so that wasn't an Elias Pettersson problem. That was across the board. They couldn't get the puck away from the Edmonton Oilers.
No, absolutely not. And look, I think I want to say this, and I think I can speak for both of us. We don't want to make this show every single game if Elias Pettersson doesn't do anything about what Elias Pettersson does. This is a Canucks post-game show. We speak with what the facts are given, and the fact of the matter is, in this hockey game, he wasn't good enough, and he didn't do enough to help his team win the game. Right? A lot of people are going to go in, and I said, what did you like, what did you hate on the different socials, and people are obviously talking about the exact same thing. It's a polarizing topic in this city, and for good reason. He's a guy that is paid the most money, the guy that talked about, being in better shape and wanting to be better. On this night, he wasn't good enough. He wasn't where his team needed him to be. And you mentioned demanding the puck. He needs to have the puck on his stick all the time. He needs to be a play driver. And unfortunately tonight, yes, there were a lot of passengers. That's one of the key words that's being used as well tonight when talking about this performance from the Vancouver Canucks. But he definitely needs to be one of the drivers of this team.
Yeah, I mean, the underlying numbers weren't kind to many Vancouver Canucks. When you get outshot 37-15, they're not going to be. On that front, Pettersson was sort of middle of the road, individual Corsi of 41.1%. The actual shots at 5-on-5 were 5-4 for the Oilers, so that was a bit of a push. And the Canucks actually outscored Edmonton when Pettersson was on the ice in his 10 minutes of ice time, again at 5-on-5. So, he wasn't on the ice getting scored on. He wasn't responsible for goals, didn't cough the puck up the way Philip Hedl did, but it can't be about, he won a late face-off, he blocked a shot here or there. This guy is being paid basically the same as Connor McDavid, and I know they're not the same player, but we just went on. McDavid was the second star. The impact on this hockey game, the way he tilted the ice in favor of the Edmonton Oilers, and there just wasn't any of that. And so, yeah, there are mildly concerning signs here that 2 games in,
we're not sitting here and say it's time to have a conversation about Elias Pettersson.
No, but people are watching him differently.
Of course,
they have
100%.
given him a year and a half here where it hasn't been good enough, and the first 2 games of the season has been more of that than, reformed Elias Pettersson, went home for the summer, put on this weight, and has come back. Where was his vengeance that he talked about in the interview with the Swedish media late in the summer? So, again, Monday's another day, and I'm sure we'll all be watching them closely and see what Monday brings. But, the review in the first 2, leaving us wanting a whole lot more.
Yeah, and tonight, again, Jonathan Lekkerimäki, not very good. Guys, Vander Kane, had the insanely good hit behind the net, clean and absolutely.
Rafi Torres revisited.
Absolutely. Great hit there. But you look at the other forwards, Jake DeBrusk as well, just a couple of shots on net. Braden Coots didn't play a lot. And Philip Hedl, we already talked about his night. Archie Baines was the hero last game, and in this game, didn't play much at all.
No.
Right? So when things go well, so one game, you look at the next game against a better opponent, that's really where you want to measure yourself against the top teams in the league.
I haven't had any post-game reaction yet, but if we see any quotes from players or Adam Foote, we'll pass those along. But speaking post-game, another super chat from Kristen, and we thank you for your contribution to the BC Mental Health Foundation. Again, keep the super chats coming. It's for a great cause, and we really do appreciate you sending things our way. Kristen said, noticing some home post-game interviews back in the locker room, is that a sign of better vibes around the team? You and I are in here in the studio post-game, whether they're at home or on the road. So I'm not around the team post-game, and there are practices and game day skates. I think I don't know if you're referring, I noticed the other night that a few of the post-game interviews were done at guys' lockers, which used to be an everyday thing. The last couple of seasons, they've pulled players to the front where they've got the monitor and they can put the logos behind them. And I think that gets sort of the big scrum out of the way so that players can move about the locker room. So I'm not sure if that's what you're referring to. I don't think it has anything to do with the vibes. Vibes were high on opening night. They beat the Flames. Everybody's feeling good. My guess is the vibes weren't so good in the locker room in Edmonton tonight. So I don't know if that addresses or answers the question. But again, 2 games in, the vibes were high. Was sort of, we had some fun with that through the preseason. But when you get in the starting gate, whatever, everybody thinks that they're ready to go, and every team believes that they're set up to have success, and then they start playing for keeps, and here are the Vancouver Canucks now 1-1. So, I don't think one loss in Edmonton is going to change the vibes, but let's face it, this was a reality check against a team that, again, has designs on getting back to where it's been the last 2 years, but getting it right third time around.
So you like Demko, because I did. I know that for sure. So you usually dig a little bit deeper when I ask these questions. What didn't you like about this one here?
The fact that they were just chasing.
Yeah.
And look, this is an Edmonton team that Jack Roslovic is going to join their group. I don't know that he puts them over the top, but Jake Wallman wasn't playing. Mm-hmm. You could make the argument that this was their backup, but we know that, I'm not sure, maybe Canucks would have preferred to see Stuart Skinner. But I it's early in the season. the Oilers who are who we think they are, and they're going to be a really good team, and they're motivated and all that kind of stuff. And so if that's now the bar in the Pacific Division, the Western Conference, and the National Hockey League, the Canucks kept it close on the back of a spectacular goaltending performance, but it's a team game ultimately. And so what didn't I like? Didn't like Filip Chytil's night. Beyond the giveaway, takes the offensive zone penalty with 6 minutes to go. You're down 2-1. You're pushing or trying to push at least, and you want to be able to spend much of that final 6 minutes in the offensive zone, and then he goes and takes a penalty. So as good as he was the other night against the Flames, he was at the other end of the spectrum. I know what. Okay, I like Demko. I like the physicality, and I'm not sure that we're going to say that about the Vancouver Canucks an awful lot. People have questions. Are they big enough? Are they mean enough, tough enough, whatever? Well, ask Trent Frederick what it's like to run headlong into Tyler Myers at the blue line, and that turned out to be the second hardest hit of the night, and he absolutely floored Frederick, who's a big dude, and Trent Frederick's dished out enough punishment on his own, but he was on the receiving end, and Tyler Myers absolutely demolished him. Remember a couple of years ago, Myers with that big hit on Duncan Keith in Edmonton?
Yeah.
So I don't know if he got suspended last year against the Oilers for the cross-check against Evan Bouchard. Maybe it's just the rivalry. Maybe it's all the years playing against the Edmonton Oilers, whatever. But Tyler Myers bringing a little snarl. But that was sort of the appetizer for that Evander Kane hit. Kane had the big hit on Regula in the second period that brought Darnell Nurse in, and the two of them, former teammates, obviously, Kane and Nurse, having a little chat there, nothing more. But, yeah, you already outlined Regula going back around the net, Kane coming from the other side, just caught him in the trolley tracks there. And then Noah Philp, trying to be a good teammate, trying to make an impression, sticking up for his fallen comrade, but refs got that one right. I don't know what they call it. Did they call it cross-checking or roughing? Whatever the case.
Called it roughing, I think.
No, it was cross-checking in the books. And that was a recall. He gives Kane quite a shot. And that put the Canucks on the power play. As bad as they were for much of the night, it was there for them on a tee in a 2-1 hockey game, and ultimately the power play let them down. So power play has yet to score. Officially gave up a short. The empty netter goes into the books as a shorthanded goal, so it's going to go on their record, even though it's not a conventional shorthanded goal. But early season, I don't want to read too much into it, but power play that we liked in the preseason, snapping it around, it's done squat so far through 2 games. But penalty killing, anytime you hold the Oilers off the board, and they were that close with the Draisaitl chance and the Demko save, but Edmonton went 0 for 5 on the power play, had 9 shots on goal, so they generated. But the Canucks are perfect on the penalty kill, and that's without Teddy Bluger, who is their best penalty killing forward and one of their face-off guys. So credit to the penalty killers, small sample size, but early season signs are encouraging. And again, this audition to be regular penalty killers on this hockey club continues. We saw Adam Foote and his coaching staff, Kevin Dean handling the penalty kill, rolled through a bunch of forwards again. Brock Besser and Jake DeBrusk among them, getting some penalty kill time in this hockey game.
Everyone has to kill penalties. Right? And I think that, most players, like I said this after game 1, everyone wants to put their hand up to go on the power play and play in all the fun situations of the game, but no one wants to eat a puck. And those are the things that the Canucks are willing to do. Block shots for the Vancouver Canucks. Philip Roenick had a couple. Elias Pettersson had 3. Tyler Myers had 4. They had 14 block shots as a team. A lot of them obviously coming on the power play, but that's a credit to, the way that they run things, the way that they lock it down when they are down a man, and killing penalties, and good for them. If that, you can translate, even killing penalties should translate into offense as well.
Well, at the very least, if you do it successfully, it should give your team a little bit of a boost. Yeah. You want to think some energy coming out of it, and maybe you can use that to your advantage. Wasn't the case in this one. All situations, the Canucks had 40 shot attempts in this hockey game, 15 on goal, 40 attempts. Oilers had 37 shots on goal. And then another 32 that were either blocked or missed the target. So
Quinn Hughes had 9, 7 blocked, 2 missed the net.
Yeah, didn't have a shot on goal. Not a single one got through, but he had 9 attempts. So not afraid to launch it, but he's got to find a way to get those pucks through. He's still not at the top of his game, right? For whatever reason, we all know how dynamic he can be. He's got the record now. I don't know if that was on his mind. I doubt it, but 2 games in, hasn't been a star in either of the games that we've done. Really hasn't sort of controlled the play and made it a downhill game when he's out there. I mean, that's the advantage, and that's the superpower of Quinn Hughes is shifting the game into a half-court situation for the Vancouver Canucks that hopefully they can use to generate offense. It'll come. And I don't even want to spend any time here. It's coming. But through 2 games, yeah, he's got his point. But we know that there are much better nights ahead for Quinn Hughes. And I suppose on some level that's comforting if you're a Canuck fan, because at least that is in the back pocket. Claire says in the chat, to be fair, this sort of thing is what we should expect. Defense and goaltending are our strengths, and our forward core is underwhelming. And so, yeah, I mean, look, be prepared. There will be more nights ahead this year. It's a long season. There will be more nights that look like this. Again, you want to narrow the shots on goal gap because it isn't the scoreline. 3-1 to the Oilers, like there's no shame in losing 3-1 to the Oilers.
Nope.
But getting outshot and having them skate circles around you, that's the much bigger concern. Matt H. says no faceoffs, no forecheck, no possession. Kind of goes hand in hand. If you're constantly losing the faceoffs, then the Oilers are going to work. So, they didn't do a great job of getting the puck back from Edmonton and then either getting it in deep and getting on it or trying to control their entries and set up. And so, again, we'll see where it goes here. Going to get to our stat that stands out momentarily, but we've talked about him a fair bit. The record setter himself, Canuck captain, not ready yet?
No, not ready yet. Yep.
All right. Quinn Hughes did meet the media in Edmonton. We'll pull that for you. Let's get to the stat that stands out then. And the stat that stands out is being delivered by Uber Eats. And Uber Eats is enabling fans to maximize their fandom all season long with exclusive game day deals on the app, where you can get almost anything, truly, from game day eats to paper plates and napkins if you're hosting, all the ingredients you need to make your favorite game day dip before, during, or after the game. Uber Eats is assisting every fan's hockey experience all season long. All right, stat that stands out. Thatcher Demko faced more shots tonight than in any of his 23 games last season. So it's game number 2 for the Vancouver Canucks, and already that's a concern to me, because even last year, a team that was so dysfunctional, didn't make the playoffs, Demko never faced more than 34 shots. And in fact, I think it happened twice, and one of them was against the Edmonton Oilers. But here on night number 2, seeing more rubber coming his way than at any point last season. So, yeah, that one jumped off the page when I saw it as the Oilers continued to pepper him in the third period. And we'll see. I mean, it just tells you the Canucks are going to have to find a way to tighten things up defensively in front of Demko when he's in there, or Kevin Lankinen. And again, I think most of us think that it will be Lankinen on Monday against the St. Louis Blues.
Forget about this game for just a second.
Sure.
Thatcher Demko was left off the invite camp to Team USA for the Olympics. Thatcher Demko is going to be getting an apology phone call, and it's going to be one of those, I wasn't familiar with your game memes coming back but with his performance. Obviously watched it, calm, cool, collected, but if you think that that's not in the back of his mind, and I know Canuck fans in the chat have already said, no, we need him to be healthy, no this, no that.
Right.
He wants to be there donning the red, white, and blue in Italy in February.
Well, when he met the media in Penticton at training camp, I thought it didn't get the play that I thought it might, because he talked about a lot of things, covered a lot of ground. We hadn't talked to him since last year. The contract comes back. His wife had given birth. He's a father of 2 now. Like, there was a lot going on with Thatcher Demko, but there was the one answer where he said, if I'm able to get my game back to where I know I can, I will be on that team. Not I'm going to play myself into conversation or force them to make decisions. He said, I will be on that team, which tells me
that's the guy I want on my team.
But it tells me that A, yes, he has been thinking about it, and B, it is some sort of motivation for him. Now, in saying that, he also said it's sort of a byproduct. Like, if he holds up his end of the bargain and plays as well as he can for the Vancouver Canucks, it'll gain the attention needed. So his primary goal is to be the guy like he was tonight and on opening night for the Vancouver Canucks. And if he keeps that up, then USA Hockey is going to certainly keep tabs on what's going on. I don't blame them for not bringing him on the long list. I think,
of course, yeah.
They brought Joey Decord in. Joey Decord's not going to be on the U.S. Olympic team, but like Connor Garland, who went to that orientation camp as well, and I think there were a couple others, those guys went and repped the U.S. at the World Hockey Championship last spring when others said no, and the U.S. ended up winning its first gold medal in like a century. And so I think it was a bone thrown to guys like Garland and Decord that were loyal to the country, wore the colors, and ended up, finishing on top of the podium. And so it was just to bring them along with, was it 44 guys? I think it was a total of 44 to that orientation camp. And it wasn't on ice even. It was just bring everybody together.
Golfed.
Yeah, exactly. So
had a few.
But hey, whatever Thatcher Demko needs to motivate himself. If this is a motivated Thatcher Demko, then I'm on board. I can't wait to see more of it. I don't want to see too much of it because I do worry about the workload.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing too is Adam Foote's going to have to fight the urge here. The better that Demko plays, the easier it would be to think as a first-year head coach, well, there's my ticket to more wins. I'm just going to keep playing this guy. But I think that's where Foote, having been around and lived through Thatcher's injuries the last couple of years, is probably a good thing, where Bruce Boudreau and Rick Tocchet after him both came in from outside the organization and were like, I'm just going to play this guy. He's my horse. I'm going to ride him. Adam Foote understands that in some ways less might be more for Thatcher Demko. And look, Lankinen's a quality goaltender and certainly a quality backup if that's the role that he ends up playing. So we'll see on Monday afternoon. All right, Owen JZ says, if this was against a team like Seattle, it would have been more concerning than a game against Edmonton. Not upset about tonight because it is the Oilers. And I think I understand where that's coming from. Again, it's all relative here. And you do have to keep some perspective. But at the end of the day, they lost. It's a loss. And so
we talk about L's.
Yeah.
As much as we talk about wins.
All right, Quinn is ready now.
Yes.
So let's hear from the captain on the night that he sets the record, but ultimately his team second best on the ice in Edmonton.
The effort by your goalie today, just unbelievable play.
Yeah, he's amazing. So definitely kept us in us with multiple chances.
We will. Oh, there we go. Yeah.
What does he do for that when he's making those saves? What does he do for the rest of the team to kind of?
I think he just gives us a chance. Most goalies that goes in and it's 3-1, 4-1. So he just gives us a chance. He's incredible, seriously.
Well, Quinn, take us through this one. What led to the final score?
They capitalized on some luck. Stemmer played great. Shots were pretty heavy favorites to them, and saw the same thing you did.
I know it's probably not the time you want to talk about it, but with the assist on Brock's goal, you become the franchise leader in points for a defenseman. What does that milestone mean to you, especially just to hit it at this point in your career?
Yeah, it means a lot. So it's a great organization and a lot of great players coming through over the 56 or 57 years the Canucks have been around. So I'm honored for sure.
The first two periods against Calgary, but I think everyone was nervous, and you guys also didn't give up a lot. But you gave up a lot tonight. How do you start better? How do you get into the game?
It's a good question. I can't expect Demmer to make those saves every night for sure, so something we'll have to look at.
I want to ask you about Braden Coots real quick and just the impression he's made as a young kid trying to get into make this league, make the jump permanently.
Yeah, he's done really well. It's not easy at 18, so he's going to play a long time. Just got to take it day at a time.
All right, there you go. I think body language more than anything that he said. You can tell frustrated, obviously, and expected that he was going to be asked the question about the record, and maybe moments after a loss like this one, he's not going to reflect on it the way that he will years from now. He's going to add to his totals, and ultimately, I can't wait to see. If he's a career Canuck, he could end up 1,000 points.
I was just about to ask you.
That will be wild to monitor. I don't care how many more years he's here, and I hope it's for a lot. But ultimately, how wide a gap now is he going to create between himself and Edler as he leaves the Eagle in his rearview mirror? We're going to hear from Adam Foote as well shortly, but he was asked about Braden Coots. You mentioned Coots in passing, but I want to double back here because I think this is interesting. every night he plays is going to be a chance to monitor him. He goes home. Sherwood Park guy, we saw it in the preseason. He's now seen a bunch of McDavid. He's played against McDavid and Draisaitl 3 times. The first 2 in the preseason, this one for real. And we wondered. And in fact, I asked Adam Foote yesterday, before they left, is Coots going to play? Because they've got Linus Karlsson, who has a little more experience and certainly has more size than Coots. Karlsson's the extra forward right now. But coming off the win against Calgary, I wasn't surprised for a second that Adam Foote came right back with a winning lineup. But you can shelter a young guy on home ice. You can't do it out on the road. And so wondered, how quickly would the Oilers try to jump that matchup and get one of or both their super weapons out there. Early on, we saw it a couple of times. Actually, I thought early in the hockey game, I made a note of there was a really strong Coots shift that led to a Lekkerimäki one-timer, and we were calling for that the other night and didn't see it. But there were also, early in the second period, those 2 were out against McDavid and Draisaitl, and Forbort broke his stick, and all of a sudden you're like, mismatch already, and now a defenseman is down a stick, but they were able to get out of that one as well. There was the shift later in the second period where Lekkerimäki knocked his man down and off the puck and was able to work it deep and created a scoring chance. So there were some moments in this game, but ultimately, neither of those guys reached the 10-minute mark in ice time. And I'm not surprised at that. On the road, trailing in this hockey game, Adam Foote turned to veteran guys and guys with better track records at the NHL level. But Braden Coots got 1 shift in the final 13 minutes. That one I understand. Jonathan Lekkerimäki, who's a one-shot shooter in a 1-goal game, also had 1 shift in the final 13 minutes. Make that make sense.
It doesn't, to be honest. In a tight game, maybe things are getting a little bit more physical and chippy, but it wasn't. I understand protecting Braden Coots, but Lekkerimäki, you want him out there. You want the puck on his stick. If Elias Pettersson isn't going, Jake DeBrusk isn't going, that's another guy. And I'll tell you right now, it's been 1 game. They've missed Niels Höglander. He's a guy that can play up the lineup and down the lineup, but he's a guy that's on that roster that, he has some snarl to his game. He plays in the top 6. He plays it well. So another guy, if you're not going to put anyone else from the 3rd or 4th line up, it's got to be Lekkerimäki. And for him to only have 1 shift in the final 13 minutes, I'm not entirely sure what the explanation is. Maybe, he'll get asked it here in the postgame and we'll hear it. But you want your offensive guys. You mentioned one-shot shooter. It doesn't take long for the puck to get into the back of the net. We've seen it. And we hopefully will continue to see it. But yeah, that one's a little bit bizarre for me.
Lekkerimäki finished the night with 1 shot on goal. I think it was that one that we talked about in the first period. He had 3 attempts. As for Coots, no shot attempts through a hit and only took 2 faceoffs. And again, that's trying to shelter a guy. It's, changing on the fly to get him out there. You can't control the matchups, but you can, do what you can when you're the road team, and that's the way that Adam Foote, and a good challenge for Adam Foote. First time in the NHL. He's been on benches, but never the guy that is trying to, work the matchups in real time as the Oilers are doing their thing, and he's got to work the bench and get his guys out there. So, I'm sure he'll get better at that as things go along as well. But for this night, the Oilers showed the Canucks what a Stanley Cup contender looks like, and we'll see how the Canucks respond on Monday afternoon against the St. Louis Blues. 4:30 is the start time. It's Thanksgiving afternoon, and of course we'll be on immediately after, as many of you are sitting down to a Thanksgiving dinner. Irf and I are going to be hard at work.
So. We need a Thanksgiving dessert.
Hey, I like it. Bring the pumpkin pie. All right, let's hear from the head coach of the Vancouver Canucks, Adam Foote, after a 3-1 loss. His first he had his first NHL win the other night. He's got his first NHL loss as well. 3-1 to the Oilers.
Start with the performance of your goaltender tonight. He was just unbelievable.
Yeah, Denver was good. He played good. He kept us in there. They had 5 power plays. He did his job.
What do you need to do to start better?
To start better? Well, I think we just got to stay out of the box. We actually didn't have it wasn't going too wrong early. Our game plan, we were getting out with the neutral. We almost had about 5. They really forecheck hard. They go wide. We almost had 4 or 5 2-on-1s in the first. So we hit one of them. We're fine, and then we take an offensive zone penalty. It happens. But, with a team like that, you got to stay out of the box.
Adam, this morning you kind of described a little bit of what you wanted to see, how you wanted this game to go. here we are now after the game. Did you kind of see most of what you wanted from your team, or what was maybe different than you might have expected?
You know, we were right there, and when you have a performance from your goaltender like that, and killing 5 penalties with guys like a power play like that, you just have to be a little bit more patient. The first one we threw one out there we thought we had a guy there, and they went the other way, and it ramped up, I think, on one of our sticks, and then we had unlikely turnover. It usually doesn't happen that way, but when we started the third, and we were all over them, we were flying, and then another penalty, which we have to just control ourselves a little bit more, be a little bit more disciplined.
Quinn Hughes tonight with that assist on Brock Besser's goal becomes the franchise leader in points by defenseman. What can you say about just him as a leader with this group right now?
Yeah, he's going. I mean, he's always there for you. He's always pushing it. It was a nice play. I think we missed another one at the end. I think they got a stick on Brock's empty net there, so that's good for Quinn.
How does Evander Kane kind of change the dynamic of your team? He's always involved. He's always making big hits. He always seems to be the guy at the bottom of the pile. Like, what does he do to your team?
Well, he's strong. I mean, he's a strong player. He's got good hands and tight. You saw at the end there he made that big hit. And, when he's moving his feet, he's hard to play against.
All right, there you go. Adam Foote. Not the answers that I was expecting. He seemed to be pointing to the penalties they took as, really the storyline in this hockey game. And look, yeah, Edmonton took 5 power plays, and we gave credit to the Canuck penalty kill.
Yeah.
9 of the shots came on the power play, but that leaves 28 other shots by the Edmonton Oilers, and Adam Foote didn't really address the disparity in just puck possession and control, and tried to sell this notion that the Oilers like to go wide, and we almost had 4 or 5 2-on-1s the other way. Well, almost doesn't really cut it. So a little surprised, but maybe that's just protecting his team. And I mean, I don't expect him to read them the riot act after their first loss of the season, but he didn't provide a ton of insight on. I was curious if we would find out, why, if he had answers to why the game went. And he was asked about the start of the game as well, and again talked about penalties rather than sort of being back on their heels against a team that you knew squandered a 3-0 lead on home ice to their provincial rivals and lost on opening night, and had been sitting. You knew that the Oilers would be coming on a Saturday night.
Yeah, and I think the interesting part about that is he was asked about the start, and Quinn was asked about the start, and he said it's a good question. I just don't really know what really happened there. And Adam pointed to the power plays and the fact that the Oilers had a lot more than the Canucks did in that hockey game, but. Yeah, it's one of those things where they're going to have to literally really sit back and look at it and say they need to get off to better starts. And we talked about it this early part in the season before they go on the road trip. Other than this Edmonton game, there are some gettable games here. They go on the road. You beat Calgary. Yep. You got St. Louis on Monday, and then you go on this road trip. You're going to play a tough Dallas opponent, obviously, but the other teams that you play, very gettable games. So the starts, they better figure out pretty quick, because those are hugely important here very early on in the standings.
Yeah, and on a day where the Flames lost at home, the LA Kings lost, if the Canucks had been able to beat the Oilers, they would have put a little distance early in the season on 3 of the teams in the Pacific Division. Vegas ended up losing in Seattle in overtime.
Yep.
So Vegas picks up another point, at the very least, where the Canucks get nothing on a night like this one. So, look, it's Game 3. I don't want to put pressure on the Vancouver Canucks, but they better win on Monday against St. Louis before they hit. I'm not going there.
Don't do it.
I'm not going there, but I am curious to see how they respond and bounce back. And
they better respond.
Yeah, but the Blues looked all right, beating Calgary this afternoon. Pia Suter coming to town, trying to make a statement. We'll see how all of that goes. Look, the Abbotsford Canucks.
Yeah.
Won again. Start the season 2-0. Manny's got the magic touch.
Good for them.
Win the Calder Cup last year. Massive overhaul happens in professional sports at the minor league level, but without a bunch of guys that were part of that championship team, and the injuries to Jet Wu and Guillaume Brisebois out on the road, starting in Henderson, Nevada against the Golden Knights farm team. Overtime last night, Max Sasson, and Sasson scored again. So Max Sasson wants to, let the big team know that he's down there doing his thing, and he is. Yuri Patera picks up the winning goal. hasn't played since last November and seemed like the forgotten man through training camp, didn't play a preseason game. So his first game action in forever, and he ends up getting a win. So good on him. Abbotsford off to a 2-0 start. Can't do any better than that. So good work by Manny and the Abbotsford Canucks. All right, it's time for our line of the night. 32 teams in action here on this Saturday. None on Friday, and just one game on Sunday. Is that where you're headed?
That's exactly where I'm headed. I was going to do baseball, but this is a hockey show, so we'll stick with it. Washington at home to the New York Rangers. Rangers made light work of Artur Shilovs and the Pittsburgh Penguins, but I'm going with the Caps. I like the Caps in that game, so there's some pretty good juice there if you go with the Washington Capitals. If you want to add it, take Alex Ovechkin's over in shots. Obviously, he's a guy that loves to shoot the puck, as we know. All-time leading goal scorer in the NHL, so I like the Washington Capitals and the Alex Ovechkin over in shots. And whatever your bet is, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Jeff, download the app and get in on the game. Use code NATION. Bet365 must be 19 or older. Please play responsibly.
You said you were going to go baseball. Lots of attention on baseball. I note the hat that you're wearing. And maybe Artie's going to have to get back to that practice facility that you like so much in Pittsburgh there.
I knew you were going to do it.
Yes. Was the hero on opening night, and not so much. That's life in the big leagues. All right. We said it off the top. I'll say it one more time. You're not going to win them all.
Nope.
So often it is about how do you respond. You don't want to have too many bounce-back games as a long season moves along, but that's where the Vancouver Canucks are after a 3-1 loss in Edmonton here on this Saturday night. So 4:30, it's a prime game. Some of you will probably have to do a little work to find it, but hey, second year for prime, so we all got exposure to it last year, and that's where the game will be shown if you're looking for it on Monday. If you're looking for post-game coverage, this is where you will find it after each and every Vancouver Canucks game. And, oh, by the way, we posted our first Canucks practice report from the rink on Friday before they flew off to Edmonton. We're going to be doing more of that this season as things move along here. So make sure you follow Rink Wide on all of our socials, particularly subscribe to the Rink Wide YouTube channel. You can go back and you can check out the practice report. You can see me doing a stand-up there at Rogers Arena. So, yeah, we'll be throwing practice reports, game day content from the rink, videos, player scrums, all that kind of stuff. So hit subscribe and set your notifications so that you do not miss a thing all season long. Brock Besser, the only goal tonight for the Vancouver Canucks. Yes?
I was going to say, great stuff from the rink.
Well,
yeah, you get in front of the camera and
Jacob Fraser working behind the scenes here.
He's here tonight.
Yeah, he was the wizard, the production wizard there as well. So good to have him on board, and we thank him for his help here on this version of the show. All right, 3-1, Brock Besser, the only goal. Quinn Hughes, highest scoring defenseman in franchise history, but really this was a night about the guy in goal. Thatcher Demko, sensational. Unfortunately, it's in a losing cause as the Canucks fall by a pair to Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl, and those Edmonton Oilers. So that is going to do it. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Enjoy the weekend if you get a chance to spend it with family and friends. So sit back. No shortage of viewing opportunities out there in the days ahead. And, we'll be watching baseball, but we'll be focusing on hockey when we fire up Rink Wide on Monday afternoon. For Irf, I'm Jeff. That's going to do it. Canucks fall 3-1 to the Oilers. Thanks so much for checking out this episode of Rink Wide Vancouver.